Today, we're going to talk about a story that's really tough to get through, but it's one we absolutely need to hear. We're going to look at how a few small everyday moments we can all relate to, can spiral into an unimaginable tragedy. And this is the question that's really at the heart of it all. How does something so small, just 5 minutes of running behind schedule, end up costing everything? It really makes you think about the pressures we're all under and how one little oversight can have the worst possible consequences. So, let's set the scene. It all starts on what should have been a pretty normal Sunday morning. You know the kind, filled with that familiar pressure, that rush to get out the door that so many of us know all too well. Now, this mother wasn't just showing up to sit in a pew. She was actually the minister for the day, so being 5 minutes late was a big deal. Protocol officers were already there waiting for her, ready to get her right into position. The pressure was on the second she pulled into the parking lot. You can just picture it, can't you? A whirlwind of activity. She's jumping out of the car. Her mind is already on the service, and everyone is trying to hurry her along. Everything was just go, go, go in that one chaotic moment. And it's right here, in the middle of all that chaos, that a single crucial instruction gets lost in the shuffle. This is the exact moment where things started to go terribly wrong, and nobody even knew it. As she's being rushed toward the church doors, she hands her car keys over to a female protocol officer. And in that split-second exchange, she gives a quick two-part instruction that was supposed to take care of everything she was leaving behind in the car. And this is where we see that devastating gap. In the mother's mind, the instruction was crystal clear. Grab my things and take my baby. But in that rush, only the first part of that message landed. The officer got the Bible, the handbag, the service pamphlet. But the most precious important part of that instruction was completely missed. This really gets to the core of it. We'll never know for sure. Did the officer just not hear that second part in all the noise and hurry, or was she so focused on getting the minister's belongings that the idea of the baby just didn't register? Either way, it's a terrifying reminder of how fragile communication can be when we're under pressure. And just like that, with that one fatal miscommunication, the service began. And for hours, nobody had any idea of the tragedy that was silently unfolding just outside. Inside the church, the mother was 100% focused on her duties. She was officiating, listening to the sermon, participating in the entire program. Her mind was completely occupied, as you'd expect. And tragically, not once during that time did the thought cross her mind to check on her child. She assumed everything was fine. For 6 hours, 6 whole hours, for the entire duration of a long Sunday service, the baby was still in that car, completely forgotten. Finally, everything wraps up. The service is over and the mother's focus shifts back to her family. She looks around, she doesn't see her baby, and she turns to that same protocol officer and asks that simple, chilling question. And that was the reply. Just think about that for a second. That's the moment the cold, horrifying reality of what happened must have crashed down on both of them. The confirmation of that terrible misunderstanding from hours before. Of course, they ran to the car, but it was too late. The doors were locked, the windows were rolled all the way up. For 6 hours, that car had basically become an oven sitting in the sun. The baby, she had cried herself out, eventually succumbing to the heat and the lack of oxygen. Weeping beyond control. These are the only words from the source used to describe the aftermath. And really, what else can you say? It's an unimaginable, soul-crushing grief over a loss that just never, ever should have happened. Look, this story is more than just a tragedy. It's a wake-up call. It is so important that we understand the factors that led to this mistake, because we can all learn something from this. We have to. And this is maybe the most crucial takeaway. It is so easy to sit back and judge, to think, I would never do that. But this wasn't about one person's terrible failure. This is about how completely normal human tendencies, being rushed, being distracted, can have absolutely devastating consequences. So let's just break it down. What went wrong here? First, haste. The whole chain reaction started because she was just 5 minutes late. Second, distraction. The mother was focused on the service, the officer was focused on getting her belongings, each had a blind spot. And third, assumption. The mother just assumed her full instruction was heard and understood. It's that combination, haste, distraction, and assumption, that proved to be so deadly.
And let's be clear, this has nothing to do with being at a church or being a minister. This kind of horrific mistake can happen anywhere a parent or a caregiver is stressed, rushed, and distracted. It could be at the grocery store, dropping a kid off at school, anywhere. The place doesn't matter, the conditions do.
So what do we do? How do we prevent this? Well, the lessons from this point to a pretty simple protocol. First, pause. Just for a second. Even when you're in a massive hurry, take one extra breath before you walk away from your car. Second, verify. Don't just tell someone to take your child. Physically hand the child over, or at the very least, watch them do it with your own eyes. And third, communicate. Make sure your instruction was actually heard. Have the other person repeat it back to you. It might feel a little silly, but it closes that dangerous loop of assumption. Which leaves all of us with one last really important question to ask ourselves. We all live these crazy, busy lives. We're all rushing from one thing to the next, our minds already on what's ahead. So in our own daily rush, what are we forgetting to check? What truly important thing might we be leaving behind?